Hello, everybody. All right, I am so glad we're talking this week. And I feel like the calls from the past few weeks, it's been more about the super blocks and then the brand new program with Amala. And it's all exciting things, but I don't feel like it was like super business tips that we can openly have a whole call on. So I wanted to start off by just seeing if you guys had any questions about any of that. Like, I believe it was the Job One Super Block about Amala's new program. I know we shared that the sample workout is live for the program. Oh my gosh. Chop wood, carry water. I couldn't remember which order when. Do you guys have any questions or thoughts or ideas of how all this is working? If you want to, I know some of you guys said you're going to do the new Chop Wood Carry Water program. Does anyone have an idea if they want to like do a launch group, anything like that? It all makes sense.
Has anyone tried the sample yet?
I watched it, like I didn't do it all, but
I
I
need to watch it. Was telling Jesse yesterday that I'm kind of over Lift More, but I'm gonna finish it because I'm very close to finishing it. It's just very long and like I can't do the 45 minutes anymore. It's just too long. How long are their workouts? Are they like 35?
I feel like it said 20 minutes to 40 minutes, depending on the day.
Yeah, probably. Somebody texted me yesterday, like, oh, can I buy that? I'm like, you know what? I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I've been promoting it in my newsletters and can tell you, I thought, because it's like on sale now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's interesting how it came on sale, but then
You can't get the workouts until the 10th or something. That's what she said. She's like, I bought it, but the workouts don't get released until the 10th or something, which I thought was strange.
yeah, I'm not sure how they're making it work because I know before they had the body like merger, everything it made sense. Like the sample came out and then there was like a week or two and then it was available to coaches and then it was available to customers. So I'm not sure. Ashley, do you know? I saw you. Oh, I saw you off mute, so I wasn't sure. I did not listen to him talk about the program either, so that could probably be helpful if we listen, but yes. From the looks of it, it kind of reminds me of 645, how he's going to have some more like, I always think of that program as like those kick through moves and like you're in plank and then you're kicking through, like that kind of stuff. But yeah, the sample workout is like the chunks, a little bit of each workout type within the sample.
I also like that you can pick like how many days you can work out a week, because you can build it, like you can build the program how you want, like based on your schedule. So there's a 4-day option. And then I think there's a 5-day and then a 6-day option.
There's I'm sorry, Ashley, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
There's also a prep full month calendar for this program before you even start the program if you wanted to. It's a full month prep. I saw it this afternoon. It's combining between 6 weeks of the work, 645, and I think some body workouts. So it's definitely getting you prepped, ready to go for it. When we haven't seen that in a long time for any program.
That makes sense, because it did remind me of 645 as I was fast forwarding.
So it says on here that the live Chop Wood Carry Water is on July 10th. Oh, it says July 10th. Sorry, not June 10th. I'm getting way ahead of myself.
That's okay. Yeah, I think if we all watch, I believe he's on the Slay Squad tonight, so we can watch what he has to say, and if he has any questions, we can discuss it. But it sounds like, I mean, I just like him in general, so I think it's going to be pretty awesome. And I know Book Club, you guys are reading that book, correct? or starting to? Is it good? Have you started?
I have not started yet. I am still on Atomic Habits, but Jesse and Celia and Ashley, you'll be happy to know that I only have an hour left. So hopefully by tomorrow, and then Chapwood Carry Water after that.
I'm still listening to Green Lights.
I downloaded the book today. So step one.
So can you download more than one book in a month?
If you
I
have
mean,
extra credit.
Yeah, if you have enough credits, like I hadn't gotten books forever, so like I had a numerous amount of credits like stacked up. Like you get one credit each month, but you can buy things like $14 or $15 if you want more than one book
I
a month.
do.
And then sometimes there'll be like there's free books too that you can look for. But that went to credit.
Becky, how do you like that book? The Atomic Habits.
Truthfully, it's taken me this long to get through it because it's not my favorite. It's the first part of the book was like really traumatic to listen to. I don't know if you guys have, Jesse, I know you did, but like listening to the physical trauma that man went through gave me like, associated PTSD from that. And then afterwards, I mean, I feel like it's just now for me getting better, and I'm on like chapter 8 or 9. But it's just kind of dragging along and kind of bland and I don't know, basic things that we definitely need reminders of, but I was hoping for a little more.
Well, I think it's awesome. You guys are all pouring into yourself and like learning or figuring out something. And that's what personal development within this business is all about. And I know I personally don't ever choose to listen to books, and we talked about this last time, but I like quick, short, finish podcasts, whatever, trainings. And I know I should do books, but I'm not there yet. And that's just an excuse. So I hope you guys are all pouring into yourselves and doing something that just gives you a new perspective or a new outlook on things, or you're going to learn something you can implement in your business and your mindset, all those things. That is what this is all about. So with that, I sort of wanted to dive in today. I listened to the National Wake Up Call from this week, and she was talking about how 7 of her partners won the $500 bonus and broke down very simple like actions of how they did it. And it was nothing that we don't know, but I think it'd be cool to go back to basics and just really remember how this job works. And it kind of ties into another training I heard where it's like, literally we have these directions and we're building these Legos, and it's all right there for us. It's literally our business activity tracker. And I think we get so caught up in the actions and what we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to do it, but it's like, it's a big wheel and it's all right there for us. Like that is how coaches or partners are successful. So I don't know if you guys are struggling with like the how behind the actions on the business activity tracker, if you're choosing not to do them for some reason or whatever, but I wanted to go through some of those actions, give you some time to maybe take action, and just know we literally have what you do as a partner written down, and you just have to show up and do it. Did you guys listen to the National Wake Up Call? Okay, so I will say before we dive into that, I was just gonna give a few like key takeaways, and then we can, you guys can share as well. The baby monitor's dying. So key takeaways. She uses voice messages on Instagram and Facebook. Do you guys use voice messages? I think it's so key when you're trying to make the message personalized, but and relate to them, but she said, let them hear your energy, but like they also realize, oh, you're a real person. And it just makes me feel better about it. especially, yes, I follow up invite with text and it's an easy copy paste. Hey, are you interested? Are you ready to get started? Whatever. But I think when you're really getting into connecting with people and like figuring out how you can help them, I think voice messages are key. I will say, on Instagram, they expire after 2 days. Did you guys know that? So then people can't hear them. So it's really weird and I don't know why, but they can hit play, but nothing comes up. So it's a good reason to follow up with them. So if you send a voice message, write it down to follow up with them in 2 days and say, hey, were you able to listen? I know they expire. That's what I say. Because they do expire. And then I get not annoyed, but it's like, okay, let me re-say it. But it's a good way to follow up. So if you guys haven't used voice messages, I definitely recommend that. Another thing I wrote down is she says,
I have a really stupid question, but I have to
Okay.
ask it. So, in regards to voice messages, I don't like using voice messages because I'm not gonna lie to you, I forget what I say, which is why like I have everything typed out because then I can be like, oh, that's what I said. I wish it was like, is there a way to have it so that, like you can read it if people don't want to listen to them? You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Well, what in the world? We have this much technology. What kind of nonsense?
Create it, Brittany, or take it up with Apple, because what you're talking
I'm
about
going
is
to.
like how voicemails, you can read the text for voicemails.
Yes.
But
I hate
no.
listening to my voicemail, so I click it and then it opens and then it like will say what's in it. So I don't have to hold it up to my ear to listen to it or like put it on speakerphone. And it because I'll get like halfway through and be like, okay, I don't need that. And I just delete it. And it's just annoying because I wish you could do that because I honest to God, like I forget and then having to replay the voice message back to me annoys me. That's why I don't use them, which I get they're more personal, but I hate it. But I will work on it.
so
I will
normally
work on it.
in my experience, they don't respond in voice message. So I can always kind of reference back to their last message and assume what I most likely said.
Okay.
And in Instagram.
Usually
because-
the ones that I get back are vague. That's why I'm saying, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like a lot of them that I'm like, well, how did I respond to that? So that's why that's where I'm
Mhm.
getting at with it.
Yeah.
It's never something specific with me.
I try to be short and sweet. Facebook lets you talk forever. Instagram cuts you off after 1 minute. So then I'm like more mindful. But yeah, it doesn't have to be every message. It's like you don't have to do it as you're like talking whatever. But I think it helps. Like sometimes I'll do my follow-ups if someone was interested, or I'll like if they say they're interested, I'll go in and explain like, okay, here's your options. What do you think you'd benefit from this drink that does this drink that does this? And then I'll actually speak it. And then sometimes I'll write it down so they have like option 1, shakes, option 2, shakes and energize. So like then they have a visual, but I honestly think it's easier sometimes than typing, but I think it makes it personalized as well. So it's really what works for you. It's not like you have to do it, but I think sometimes people appreciate it. And I was reading one of my messages. She didn't make sense. And then I said, do you mean that you're not interested at all anymore? ? And then I read it back today. I'm like, she could have took that as like a really snippy tone, or like I literally meant like, I am not understanding your response. So then I was like, oh, I should have done a voice message. So just like mindful of those types of things, of especially if you're kind of maybe pushing them a little bit, like, hey, like, I understand you said you're not interested. What is like pulling you away from getting started? Is it this, or this? Without writing it out, sometimes it feels like you're like, you have a tone with them. I don't know. Whatever feels right. But I find that if they can feel your energy and see that you're excited, it's really helpful. The other thing she said was invite to the information. So I know we're always like, oh, excuse me, we're always like, I'm inviting to my accountability group. And I normally do that with like a caveat of like what it means or like what we're focusing on, but like she invites them to see more information or like to chat more. And I like that perspective or approach because it's like, okay, it's not like, hey, do you want to join my accountability group? It's like, hey, would you like more info about this? Based on the previous conversation you had with them about something they may be struggling with. So you're still connecting with them, you're still figuring out like what they need, maybe their weaknesses, their struggles, why they would potentially be interested in what you do, and invite them just to send them more information. And sometimes I always say, hey, would you be interested in chatting more about this? And then I can send you some more information if you're interested. And I think people are more wanting to answer that versus like, do you want to join my accountability? Or if they're like, I don't know, I'm just not going to answer because I don't know what to say. And I just think people are more willing to take information. She also said, this is my last tip I wrote down and then we'll get into it, unless you guys have top tips from her call. She says, once she talks to them and figures out like, okay, here's their goals, here's what I think would be a good fit. She sends them a preview of the workout program that she thinks they could start with. And it gives them a visual of like the energy and what they're getting into. And I think that's really cool because I don't do that. I never, and normally in my head, I'm like, okay, she needs low impact. She's a beginner. She's first program postpartum, like whatever their symptoms are. I don't know, like whatever they need. And it's like, okay, I know I'm going to recommend 4 weeks for everybody or bar blend or something like that. But what if we sent them the visuals so they knew what we were talking about? And I think that's a good idea as well. So they can get excited about it, knowing there's other options. Did anyone else have key takeaways from that call that they want to share?
I was listening during my workout and I missed her saying that part that you were just talking about. What kind of visuals exactly did she say she sent? Like the sample workout or like we're in picture information? I missed that.
She sent a video, like, I forget what word she used, but it's kind of like the launch video of the program. So it's like, not like the sample workout, but it's like the coming soon video, but like their advertisement video. She used the actual correct word of what it's called, but it's like the one that advertises like about the program. And I've never really looked them up to see like, I just picture like 21 Day Fix. I feel like we all kind of know that one from like way back in the day where it's like, you can lose, what did she say, 10 pounds in 21 days and like whatever. So I think it'd be a video that's short and sweet, but it'd be like a little sample of the workouts and some talking about the program and get the vibe of the trainer. But I'm sure you can search like I could search 4 weeks for everybody and probably just see what.
I think they're called sizzle videos.
Yes, probably.
And that's what it is.
Yeah, so I think something that just gets the excitement. And of course, that's once, I wouldn't send that like well, you can do whatever you want, but I would probably wait to see if they're actually interested before I like start picking a program for them. But that's where we sit down and we just make sure we have a good fit for them. And just, that is a form of proof like, hey, this is something that we like, this program could be really good for you. She said a lot of good things though. Did you catch anything else, Jesse, or anyone that?
Did she talk about like pain points? Like, I don't know if she did or not. But obviously that's a big thing for us is to like, if people don't have time, that's why they made job one, the postnatal workouts, the prenatal workouts, more mobility, things like that. If you can help people, I feel like, I don't know where Bowers. I feel like the biggest one is like time for people, and then of course money. But I think the biggest thing that we have are all the resources, right? That Beachbody, Body provides for us. I was having a conversation with like 2 different people I reached out to just to introduce myself and said like, what brought you to my account? Like, is there anything I can help you with? You know, I'm here just to share like humor and being a mom and my love and passion for fitness and wellness. And she was like, I was actually going to reach out to you. 2 different people said this. The first person though, after I went through everything, got her all set up with everything, and then I showed her like a visual of like, I got this from somebody else, I can share it with you guys, is how like the 219 breaks down and like what you can get, like, you know, you can get the Shakeology, you can do the collagen with the Energize and the Hydrate. And she was like, you know what, that's too expensive, I can't afford that right now. And I was like, okay, well, what can I provide you for free? So again, like, we can still help people even though maybe they're not going to join our next wellness group, but we can still help them. And like she was saying, she wasn't sure where to start. So I was like, let me send you some, you know, sample workouts to try out. And I've done this with 3 different people and it has helped me like in the long run, maybe not right away, but you know, you're connecting with these people and trying to help them with their pain points. Right. But yeah. I don't know if she talked about pain points, but I feel like everybody talks about pain points.
I think she did. I think it was like in her sequence of steps. It was like step 5. It was one of the steps where it was like address their,
Yeah, it was like step 5. It was the last one, 4 or 5.
yeah, like address their like misconceptions or pain points of like why they aren't ready to do it yet or ready to join. So yeah, and I think all of that is something where, yes, we are like doing this in conversation one-on-one with people, but then it's like our posts should also include that, like pain points or just like different things that they need to hear that might convince them before it gets into the like direct message. And I think people say that all the time, but I think addressing the pain points in your story really helps on the outside. So then when you do have those conversations, it's less awkward. But yeah. Anything else? Any other tips?
I just liked how she talked about how she focused a lot on like make the connection and connect with people, because I'm horrible at that and I hate doing it. So, but she was like, no, you have to connect. Literally, it is the base of everything. And I'm like, okay, I really need to try that because that's probably why I'm not seeing all the success that I want to. And so I will, but also like following up with that, she then transitioned to the quick invite. It's not just like, because I'm thinking, oh, I have to connect today. Like that means I'm going to be reaching out to all these people, dragging on these conversations that I don't care to have. And just like, which is super, oh, well, I'm just impersonal, I guess. But I'm just thinking like, it's going to be weeks before I can even invite them. And so she was like, no, it's just quick invite. And then or quick connection and then like transition. Okay, invite. This is what I do. This is why I'm here. This is why I'm reaching out to you basically, and then invite them to hear more. And so I liked that approach. I'm like, okay, I'm going to try this and not get overwhelmed and frustrated by having to connect to one day or something. And then also the voice message thing that stood out to me this time too, because I was like, oh, I used to do that, but then people just like would never listen to them ever. And so it would like be weeks and they still wouldn't listen. So it's like, is this even working? I know it should be, but it's not. So I quit doing them, but I definitely feel like I need to get back into it and just like make them short and concise. And usually I ask people, I'm like, can I send a voice message? Like, are you going to be able to listen to this right away? And if they say yes, then I'm like, great, I have the okay. So I think just being like more blunt about that and concise and efficient with everything, connecting, inviting, and voice messages.
Yes, I love how she said that. She's like, get to it, connect, invite. I'm like, okay. And she's like, I'm not saying if that's not working, like if it works for you to have a good conversation, whatever. But to her point, some people you just don't have a conversation. And I think it's fine to jump to the invite if it makes sense. But some people maybe genuinely like talking to them. I know I have that situation where I'm like, oh, she just posted something cool. What is that? So you just gotta do what feels right. But if you're not inviting, you're not completing the circle. And if you're not connecting, you're not completing the circle. So it's all just looped together. With that, I wanted to pull up share. Sorry, I do not mean to be yawning. Share content screen. Okay. Start. Here we go. All right. So daily activity tracker. It's under Coach Tools, this third one right here. Okay. So I'm signing a slogan. Don't mind that. Literally, this is your directions, your Lego building, your blueprint of how to have a successful business. You're doing a lot of these, and I'm not going to beat a lot of these into the ground because you know that this is your job, but it's pretty cool how it adds up the percentages. So be proof the product works. Get people results. Are you contributing to your challenge group? Are you shouting people out and cheering them on? Following up with new Shakeology users or new customers. Having new customers, when they have a successful journey, they are most likely going to turn into partners. So you want to make sure you are supporting them the best you can. Respond to questions, do personal development. You guys know how to do all this. This is the wheel here, this connect, invite, follow up. If you're not doing this, you are not going to see progress in your business. And it's as easy as that. Initiate connections and expand your network. This is like literally following new people in your niche and starting those quick connections and messages that you probably do not enjoy doing, but they're fine. Because if you're talking in your niche, then why would you not enjoy it? Ooh. And going back, sorry. Like, for example, I don't mind talking to other moms when their babies are the same age as mine. And Tiffany, she recently was like, oh, I'm going to start following new people that are more into like wanting a coach to build a business, which relates more to her life coaching, which then she can ask questions and relate to that way more than moms. And you can tell me if I said any of that wrong, Tiffany, but once you are talking to your people, it just makes it bigger. You're just like, it just flows. It's easier. So if you don't know what your niche is and who you're talking to, that would be step number one, figuring it out. With that, I'll talk about it down here. You can choose your number, but it says 20 minutes here, set a timer, maybe you have 5 minutes. I literally try to follow 20 new people in my niche 5 times a week. And if you're following people, it takes maybe 5 minutes. It's like the shortest thing, mindless thing in the world. So that's that. And if you're not doing that, then you're going to have no one to invite. You want to make sure you're inviting to this opportunity, and you have to do it whatever feels right to you. But if you're connecting with these people, having a good conversation with them and never inviting them, you're not going to get anywhere. And she used the example on the call, and it's like, hey, I'm having this first birthday party for my daughter. You're all invited. And I posted on my story. No one thinks they're actually really invited. You need to invite them one-on-one. And that's where you're going to see results. And yes, you can put up the questions and the polls and all the stuff, but like, you still need to directly reach out to them and be like, hey, yes, you are invited. How can I help you? So you want to have people to invite. So you're making the connections, you're expanding your network. So then you have people to invite. Huge tip. I always invite people that are liking my posts and following my stories. That is huge. They're already watching you. So you might as well reach out to them. Following up. This is another huge thing that I don't know about you guys, but I can put this off. I'm like, I write things down in my notebook, and then I have people interested in my notes in my phone, and I'm always like, oh man, I need to go back through my June interested people, and I like don't really want to, but then I know I need to. And it is amazing if you're following up with people every other month or every month, and they realize that you actually aren't forgetting about them, and it wasn't just like a one time like, hey, do this with me. Like you're still staying consistent to your routine, to your business. They will come around. And it's crazy to me. I'm like, I'll look back, and I think some of you even probably took this long, but it's like, it takes multiple times. So follow up with people until they tell you not to follow up with them anymore.
I do have a question on that. So how do you keep track of like who like you're following to send the invite to?
Okay, I'm going to share what I do, and other people might have other things. So I follow people, and then I have a few steps. So when I'm initiating my connections with like brand new followers, I sort on Instagram. You can go to following and sort it by latest versus default. And I literally know where I stopped last. So I'll just go back, and these are the latest people I followed. I go where I stopped, and I go on their page, and I say, hey, thanks for connecting. And whatever, most of them normally have kids. And I'm like, I love connecting with other moms. How old are your babies? And I know she says it doesn't matter what their babies' names are, but that is how I connect with people. And I literally, I don't know if you can see this because I'm sharing my screen, but I literally just screenshot and circle like with the edit tool where I stopped. And then every day, 5 days a week, I make 10 new connections. And I eventually will get to the top of my new follow list, but I'm following 20 new, connecting with 10. So that's step one. That's how I do like my initiate connection. First message ever. I might watch their stories, comment on something on their page, but I send that direct message. Step two, I don't track those people. They just go in order. If they answer me and say anything back, I put them on a list, and you can call it whatever you want, but this is my list of people who responded. I never said I haven't invited them yet. I don't know if they're interested, but they're just literally this list of people who acknowledged my message and didn't ignore it. I start having a conversation with them. On this list, I have it broken down by months, and it's in my phone notes. So it's like June, people's names. After I feel like one, the conversation's dying off, or two, I want to do all my June connection invites, I go to that list and I invite them. Maybe it's been a week, maybe it's been 3 weeks, whatever it is. Sometimes I'll be like, hey, I know we're newer to connecting, but I wanted to reach out and let you know I'm doing this accountability group where we do blah, 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 and I'd love to have you. Would this interest you? Others, maybe I already know their pain points. Hey, I know you said you struggle with nutrition. Like I just go through that list of those people who I started a connection with in a specific month. Then I have another list. And these are people who I did invite, and they said, yes, I'm interested, or yes, tell me more. I'd like more information, send me a share card, whatever. That's my other list. So now I have a list of people, 3 different lists basically. And from there, I can always choose where I want to follow up in each month. Did that answer the question?
Yes. I have another question.
Sure.
Sorry. So earlier you mentioned that you follow up with people that like watch your stories. So are you reaching out to people who have not watched your stories, or are you reaching out to people who have made that connection to follow you back?
So I take 2 separate actions. Normally on Monday morning, people, I don't know, on my people watching me, I swear they scroll their phone Sunday night and watch all my stuff. And then Monday morning, I'm like, wow, people must have been bored on Sunday. So I do my story watches on Monday. Sorry, my throat is dry. On Monday morning, I'll go through, do my story watches. And I do that once a week. And maybe I should change that. Actually, sometimes I do it Thursdays too. I try to do it twice a week just to get a feel for like who's watching my stories. So that's like one whole separate action. That's like, hey, thanks for watching my story. And maybe that is a new connection, or maybe that's a follow-up connection. Maybe I've invited them a bunch, but I want to say, thanks for supporting me. How's this month treating you? And then a complete separate action that I do would be where I go through the latest followed and pick out those 10 that I have not connected with before. And sometimes they overlap. And I'm like, oh, I already messaged this girl. And it's fine, but it's like trying to keep, like, basically you don't know if you go to your latest followed that you're following, you don't know if they accepted you or if whatever. So I go in with the mindset that I don't really care. I've followed them and I'm going to send them a message after I show them some love. And maybe they answer, maybe they don't, maybe they followed me back, maybe they didn't. But I do that knowing I don't know what they did, because Instagram doesn't give you all the notifications. They only tell you, so they'll tell you if someone followed you or accepted your follow, but like if they do nothing with it, or it's like a public profile, like I can't tell. Does that make sense? So I just send the message anyway. Does anyone have any other tactics that they use? I know you can also track on here, type in your connections if you don't want to use like the notes on your phone. I just like to have it in my phone. And from there, you're able to really, anytime it's like, oh, I need to invite 5 people, you can just grab the list of people that you started a conversation with and send at least one message back to you and invite them and just make it work for that, wherever that conversation is. So it's that constant cycle of, if I don't initiate connections and expand my network, I won't have people to invite, then I won't have people to follow up with. But it should be a forever revolving door. This one is pretty big. I know you guys do awesome at showing up for your own journeys and you're really good at it. But I want you to ask yourself one question. Do you feel like your social media, looking at your page, looking at your storefront, looking at your stories, is it something where you're like, oh yeah, I would want to join that person? Would you want to join you? And I think that's the only question you need to ask yourself. If not, why not? Do you need to get more content? Do you need to talk on your stories more? Do you need to not be a fitness robot that just shows up for your workouts and then falls off for the rest of the day? Do you need to talk more about your niche and connect to them that way? That's a really good question to ask, because a lot of us are doing our own journey really well, but we're not talking about those pain points. We're not talking about our struggles and how we've overcome them or what we offer and all that good stuff. And you have to do it consistently. You can't just do it and expect all these results because you shared about it once in a week. And consistency and just doing that audit, I think, is really key. That
Real
goes,
quick, sorry,
Yeah.
real quick. There is a way to see if someone is following you back. If you go to their following, your name will be up at the top. And I just checked that with a few of you guys. So if you go under their following, it'll be at the top, whether or not they're following you back or not.
That's a good check because it does put you on the top. I like
Yeah.
that. Because I really wouldn't want to go search myself all the time.
The other day, or yeah, I was sending follow-ups the other day, and in my message. Well, when I go and send invites and stuff, I usually go and check that, like Jesse was just explaining. I go check to see if I should say like, thanks for following along with me on here, or if I should say like, thanks for connecting on here. Because there have been people that I say like, thanks for following along with me on here. And they're like, I don't follow you. And I'm like, well, this is awkward. So, and then this other lady like actually called me out the other day because I followed up with her and we had a full on conversation, and I had like said I was checking back in or whatever. And she like flat out was so rude. And she's like, I've never talked to you before. And so I went back in and sent screenshots of our messages. And she's like, oh, sorry, those didn't show up for me. But I was just like, dang, you gotta watch your back out here. You can't just gotta watch your wording or people will pounce.
That is not ideal. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen because that was basically it. I think people get very, hold on, I can't think and talk. I think people get very, I don't know what the right word is, but it's like, they're almost like snippy about things because they like want to know why you're talking to them in a way, but they just don't know how to voice it. And honestly, when people are rude, I just tell myself, okay, they're probably just having a bad day or they're stressed out or something. And it's not me. Like my husband always laughs. I'm like, when people are like speeding or like driving crazy, I'm like, they probably have to poop. Like, it's kind of like that. I'm like, they probably just something. Their wife is probably in labor about to have a baby, so they're driving like an asshole. Like, and he's just like, yeah, probably. I'm like, yeah, whatever. So yes, but you're gonna get people, and it feels certain people you're gonna get a vibe of like, oh, I should invite them, and other people you're gonna get a vibe of I shouldn't. But yeah, so that is kind of how my cycle works, and it's like follow 20 people, connect with 10 new based on my latest followers and where I stopped. Send when it's time to send invites. I try to send 10 new invites each working day. So then I go to those people who responded to my first message. Maybe it's from the month before if I'm behind, or this month. And they're on that list in my notes. And I just say, hey, I knew we're newer to connecting, blah, 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 would this interest you? And then they don't get put on that special list that I actually write on paper until they say they're interested. And then, guys, this is for this. I don't care. Then I know to follow up with these people before the end of the month and say, hey, you showed interest. The ones with the highlighted dot next to them have a share cart. The ones highlighted have gotten started. But like when I'm like at crunch time and it's like the sale's almost over this month, you better believe I'm going to be following up with all these guys who have showed interest. And I have these lists for each month. So it's just a cycle and it keeps compounding, and you're going to have people. And if you keep doing this consistently, I'm able to go back over a year and see who told me they were interested in follow-up invite with them. So with that, we have 15 minutes. Would you guys like to try and do some working time? I challenge you guys, let's take, because I said it takes 5 minutes. Let's take 5 minutes and I want you to go follow new people in your niche. For me, that looks like going to bigger accounts that connect with my niche. So I follow different mom accounts, different toddler, like kid recipe accounts. Like if you don't have these accounts that you're like, you love, or like quotes, maybe like go find your account that connects to your niche. And maybe that takes 5 minutes, but find an account that you can connect with. And then I go in there on their recent posts. And if I can connect with that post, I see who else liked it. I normally share it on my story and then I see who else liked it. And then I go to their profiles that liked it and decide if I want to follow them. And those are my new connections. And a lot of them are private. I don't care about that. You guys, that could bother you, but I just hit obsessed with these things. Sorry. I just hit follow and see if they accept me. And then I'll go message them down the road if they come up on my list. All right, so we have till 51.
Does anyone know the limit of people you can follow like consecutively before it starts flagging you? I try to be very cautious.
I just don't click fast. I just
I
like,
think it's the speed that's the difference. I was just having trauma about a year ago. I actually got banned, and Instagram shut me down for like a full on 10 to 14 days or something because I was mass unfollowing a bunch of accounts. And so I don't know that it's a number, but like Abby said, like the time, like just make sure you take breaks, maybe scroll on their page a little bit rather than just like going down a list.
Okay, that's good to know.
all right, as you start wrapping that up, the next thing is starting those new connections. So maybe you go into your latest followed, and if you're at a starting point where that doesn't make sense because you literally just followed people for your business tonight, keep following new people, keep thinking about your niche, and like I literally write down the accounts that I like and I feel like fits in my niche. So then when I'm feeling like bored, I have a chunk of them that I can go to, and I can't remember anything. So that's why I write them down. But if you are in a situation where you can go and try to start those initial conversations with people, I definitely would like you to do that for the next 5 minutes. And maybe you have people that literally you followed forever ago and you never connected with, and you could go talk to them now. There's nothing that says you can't, even if it wasn't within the month. And if you don't know what to say to your people that you're connecting with, I literally say, hey, so glad to connect on here. And then I'll say, if you do love your profile, say, I love your profile. I hope to get to know each other more. Your little one is so cute. I just had my first in August. That's an example of what I say. And then I edit it based on that. So it's not anything pressing or scary or intimidating. It's just like, hey. All right, wrap that up. And we have about 5 minutes left. And I'm gonna let you guys do this on your own time, but I challenge you guys to send 3 to 5 invites this evening. Maybe they're new invites, maybe they're your warm market and friends or family or people you know that you're like, hey, it's a new month, I'm starting this new program, do you want to do this with me? That's an invite. Maybe it's cold market people and you want to say, hey, I know we're newer to connecting, but I wanted to reach out and see if this is something for you. I'm kicking off an accountability group that focuses on at-home fitness, nutrition, and learning how to fuel your body and mindset master classes. Would this be something you'd want more information? So I challenge you to do that before bed or whatever that looks like to you. And I hope it all makes sense how this kind of like revolves in a circle and goes around and around and around. And by doing them all, it really, you're helping yourself because you're not struggling at each step. So was that helpful? Do you guys feel like you got some good information? Something to work on? Any questions? And it literally is being consistent and doing these simple things every day. I don't do anything special. I literally do what I told you I do throughout the day. And sometimes it takes me till now to get all the things done, but that's okay because you can do a little bit of following, a little bit of invites, like in little pockets of time. So, all right, I'm going to stay on for 5 more minutes and finish this, but you guys can stay or go or whatever, accept the challenge, deny it. I don't care. It's your business, but I hope you do it.
Have a good night, guys.